these systems that we have, in all of the systems that we have seen, maybe in a transportation system or internet, right? Or in a social network, we know that large number of elements are involved. Okay, so these elements could be individuals in the case of a social network, companies in the case of an organizational network, airports in the case of an airways network, or power station in case of a power network, species, different species in the case of an ecological network, or genes in the case of a genome network. Okay, so the very important aspect here is that whatever is the number of elements involved, we could always find some hidden network structure. Okay, so we will deeply see what is each, what do you mean by this underlying hidden network structure. Now we'll come to the example of a social network. Okay, consider a social network where you have many people involved, right? So in this kind of illustration that is shown here, each of this entity that is shown here, we can consider as a person. Okay, and the relationship between these people are shown by these links. Okay, so what we basically have here is a network modeling of a social system, right? So we have many entities and the relationships between these entities are mapped. But how this network is generated, or how this network concept is coming up, it depends on which kind of relation you are looking into. For example, see on the right hand side, you can see 4 networks. Okay, each one of these is a network, 4 networks, and you can clearly see that the elements or the nodes, okay, we call an entity in a network as a node or a vertex. So these dots or circles shown here, these are different nodes or elements. Okay, so the nodes or the vertices of the network are the same. You can see that in these 4 networks, the vertices are the same, but the network differs. From visually, visually we can assess that each one of this network is different from one another, right? So the first network, if you see, it is given as all friends network. So consider that you are having a group of people in a class, right? And we are considering like uh, who is a friend with whom. Okay, a friendship relationship we are looking into. So friendship relationship can be of any depth. They may be like very close friends or mere acquaintances, any kinds of friendships we are considering. So there are a large number of connections. You know that in a class of students, the students may be knowing each other. Sometimes they may be friends with each other, or sometimes they may be very close friends. Irrespective of if they are close friends, irrespective of understanding their depth of friendship, we are just assessing the friendship relationship. We can get a kind of a dense network. Okay, now consider that in the same class itself, you are considering the relationships that are maintained after 10 years of passing out from the class. Okay, so that relation we just call them as maintained relationships. It means that one after 10 years of the class, who all are maintaining relationship with each other, who all are in contact with each other. So the same set of vertices, we can see that the number of links reduced. Okay, so the network is different. Why? Because the relationship that we are looking into, the relationship that we are focusing, is a different kind of relationship. We are looking only into maintained relationships, right? Now, when you come to another kind of network, say a one-way communication, we are seeing like who all are communicating with others, maybe like some mentors or some alumni people who are communicating with every other person, but he is not getting any response back. Again, the number of communications or the number of relationships or the number of links reduced. Now, when you consider mutual communication, again, the number of relations or the number of links reduced. Okay, so what we have seen here is that in the same social setup that we are seeing here, okay, in the same social setup that we are seeing here, sorry, can you see my screen now?
Which are you?
we are on all friends friendship slide.
Yeah. Somehow I got 1 second. I'll share again. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. So we have, yeah. So irrespective of, we were looking into this like 4 types of networks that is being created from a single social system. Okay. So we are having we are considering one social system in which the relationships that we are looking into differs. Okay, when the relationship that or the relationship that we're going to study differs, the network generated also differs. That is clear from these 4 networks that we have seen. Okay, so basically when you have a large data set where a large number of entities are involved, network study becomes important when we do have a focus on what kind of relationship we are focusing on. Okay, so that actually defines the network that we are going to study. Yeah, this is another example. Okay, so this is from a recent study. This is from the students of Northwestern University, and what they have done is they have captured all the Facebook users who are students of Northwestern University, and they were again seeing what are the connections each one is having. So here the connection again changes. The connection is the Facebook friendship relationship. Okay, so you can see that a large number of people are involved. Large number of people are involved, and the relationship you can see like thread-like formations here. These are actually the edges between the different nodes, or basically the Facebook friendship between different people. Okay, since it is a large and dense network, it is very difficult to see each of the links individually. And in this denser portion, we cannot see the links at all because they are very close knit community. Okay, this is a very close knit community in which you have many connections between each other. Okay, but from this visualization, one more thing is evident. If you can see like different circles or different circles representing nodes have different colors or variation of shades of color. Okay, shades of blue color. You can see that here you have a deep blue color and a large circle. Okay, this simply means that this particular node or this particular person is having a larger number of connections. Right? So in the same visualization, we can see which person is having relation or Facebook friendship to which person, and also which persons are important or influential, or people who are having larger number of connections within the network. All these things we are getting from, all these things we could interpret from this one visualization of the network. Okay, so I am just giving you an information on which all things you can look into, which all real life systems you can look into, and from where all you can see a network modeling. Right, this is another particular example. Okay, this is also another study on political pause on 2010 US election. Okay, basically in this study what they have done is that from the Twitter data set. Okay, Twitter network, you all know what a Twitter network is. It's a micro-blogging platform. So from this micro-blogging platform, the post on 2010 US election, all the posts on 2010 US election were captured. All the information, all the details of these posts were captured. And then the relationship between these posts were these posts were captured. Okay, so basically if one post is mentioning another post, then those two posts are having some relationship. And if you see in this particular network, apart from the previous network that we have seen, so in this particular network you have seen that almost all nodes are having similar colors or different shades of colors depending on the number of connections that they are having. Yeah, but in this particular network, you can see that there are two different colors also shown. Okay, so what this color means? Okay, so these colors actually mean that each of these nodes which are in blue color represent one political party, and the nodes in red color represents another political party. Okay, so two communities of nodes is easily evident or clearly evident from this kind of a network. Okay, so once you have a network modeling of the real life data set, and with some kind of visualization and some kind of analysis, you could have a deeper inferences about the data set. And visually also, it is you can readily see that there is a blue set of people and a red set of people, and you can clearly see that the red set of people or red set of post is very large. Okay, large number of posts are in red color, which may be interpreted as this political party is having a large number of followers. Okay, so what we have, what the people have done is like, the authors have done is like, they have just collected the Twitter data set, whichever is mentioning this 2010 US election, and from that data set, the relationships between this individual posts are collected, and a network modeling was made, and then they segregated which belongs to which party. Okay, now then they have a nice representation where they can see that which party is having the majority number of followers. Okay, so this is basically from the Twitter data set, the information that is captured, which is very applicable into a real life scenario. Okay, so we will see furthermore some more examples so that you can have an understanding of in which all scenarios it actually graph theory or network as such is being applied for analysis. Okay, so another example. Okay, we all know Wikipedia, right? Wikipedia, we may be looking for whenever we are trying to prepare for some topic, or when we are looking for some particular topic, we know that in Wikipedia, people are collecting this information, storing it there. Okay, so it is a kind of a collection of information from different people. So we could say it kind of a crowdsourcing kind of data set. Okay, so from Wikipedia, the math information, then the pages on math information are collected, and the relationship between these pages are collected. Okay, so what is a Wikipedia page? In a Wikipedia page, one topic will be discussed in detail, and we know that in the same topic, references to different other pages are also given, right? References to different other topics in Wikipedia are also given. Okay, so whenever there is a reference to another Wikipedia page on another topic, that is considered as a relationship between these two topics. So say you have a page on probability, and while you are seeing the page on probability, some other link may be there that is pointing to some other statistical problem. Okay, so the page on probability and the statistical problem page both are having some relationship. What kind of relationship? One page is referring to another page. Okay, so this information is also captured, and they are modeled as a network, and then you are getting the math information network on Wikipedia. Again, we can see here different colored nodes as well. Some nodes are having larger, are represented by larger circles, some are by smaller circles or dots. Okay, so essentially the meaning of larger circles is that they are having large number of connections or large number of references to, large number of references from other pages. Okay, maybe a prominent topic or a general topic which is getting a large number of references from other pages. Okay, for example, see this white dot or this large gray circle. This means that these pages are having larger number of references from other pages. And also we can see that there are differently colored nodes. So each of these colored node actually represent different topics in mathematics. Okay, different topics in mathematics. An interesting fact here is that each of this colored cluster, if you see, each one of this forms a cluster, a community, right? And in this community, you have a dense, like a very large number of connections between each other. So they are having large number of references to each other compared to other topics. Okay, so here actually you can see the links. But when you come to a denser component, you cannot see the links, which means that the number of links inside this component is very large. Okay, so basically from this visualization, we can see like which all topics are there, which topic is having a large number of pages. So this gray one is having a large number of pages and so on. So much more information is available. We will see another example, a more clear example for one that we have seen now. Okay, now, sorry. Now, this is an example of a citation network where actually we are capturing the information about different scientific articles available. Okay, and whenever a scientific article is citing another article, we are capturing that relationship. Okay, so basically in this data set, what they have done is like they have captured the scientific articles related to physics. Okay, and all these papers are in the data set. And whenever one paper is citing another paper, no, then that relationship is captured. Again, the notes or the papers are differentiated by means of the topics that they are representing. We can see here clearly that this red notes or the red colored circles, they represent the papers from astrophysics. High energy, this violet color is for high energy physics theory. This light blue is for general relativity and quantum. And this green area, this is for high energy physics and phenomenology. Okay, so you can see that a clear partition of papers are available. You can see that this red, if you take this red part alone, this is a denser network. So these papers in astrophysics are having references or citations to each other, and they are having larger number of citations to each other. Okay, that is a denser component. This one is a denser component. And when you consider the green or blue or violet, the same case. But when you see the relationships between these two topics, for example, astrophysics and high energy physics, we can see that there are some relationships, okay, some relationships or citations from astrophysics to high energy physics or from high energy physics to astrophysics. But the number of references are very less. We ourselves know, like when we are writing a scientific paper, we mostly include the literature from our own area. But if you have one concept that is having a that is from another topic, one or two citations will go to another topic, right? Otherwise, all the citations in our paper will belong to our own area. Okay, so that is clearly evident from this network representation of the citation data set. And also you can see here that some circles are very large, which means that they are prominent papers. Okay, prominent papers which are having a larger number of citations. Okay, so the examples of such papers are also shown here. Yeah, this is another real life system as we have discussed. This is the transportation system of Chennai public transportation. Okay, the density map is shown. Again, the locations are the nodes and the connectivity between the locations are mapped into the relationships. We could find a network here. Right, another example, US air transport network, where each of this node is airports. Okay, US airports, there are some 500 US airports, and whenever there are flights from one place to another place, a relationship or an edge is there between the between these two nodes. Okay, again the larger nodes represents nodes having larger number of connections. Okay, this is Worldwide Airways map. Again, a network representation is clearly visible from here. Again, you can see that some places are having dense connections, which is in a mainland. You can see that a green part or red part or blue part, larger number of connections. But when you go to different other kinds of places or islands, the number of connections are very less. Okay, yeah. This is another particular example. This is an example of an ecological system. Okay, in an ecological system in which you have different species denoted here, right? And each of the species, the relationship that we are considering here is what is the number of shared predators that each of this species is having. So this is basically a prey-predator relationship is represented here. And whenever two species have having a larger number of shared predators, we show the relationship between them. And one more interesting fact is visualized in this particular network. I hope you can see that clearly. Earlier we were seeing large circles or small circles. Now one more information is available from this representation. The legend is shown here. It is clear. Okay. So basically we are looking into what is the depth of the relationship. Okay. So here the relationship is the number of shared predators. So when the number of shared predators is only 1, you can see that small lines are there for representing that. And when see the largest number of shared predators is 11, and see the width of the line that is shown, it is a very thick. Okay, so basically we are having a weighted network here. So along with the edge or along with the relationship that is represented, we are giving some weight or depth of the relationship as well. This is another example, a protein interaction network of yeast. This is another data set. Okay, so as of now, we have seen different scenarios, different real life systems in which we could see that each of this system, you could model it as a network, or we could see some underlying network structure is there. So how we this underlying network structure we could use for having more insight into the data set? That is where graph theory is playing its part. Okay, so all these data sets, all these visualizations were shown to you just to give an understanding of in which all scenarios you can look into interpreting it as a graph or as a network. Okay, so for all these real world systems that we have seen that the key emphasis is on the interactions between the entities. So when we are modeling this interactions as a network, we are actually focusing on the global structure of interactions. On a whole, how these interactions are being interpreted. We are not looking into the detailed properties of the elements. For example, when you consider the case of the political post, we are not concerned about the information about the post. What is the content of the post? We are not interested in that. We just want to know which political party it represents and what is the relation to other posts. Okay, so the global structure only we are interested in. We are ignoring the details of the individual elements. Okay, so how this global structure is having a particular behavior or how this could be studied, for that purpose we could make use of a graph or basically graph theory. Okay, so in all the visualizations that we have seen, the nodes or the vertices, or the entities are represented as nodes or vertices, and wherever the interactions are coming, they are represented as the edges or links. Okay, so basically we are looking into a graph. In each of this scenario, we are actually looking into a graph, right? So in all these graphs, what we have seen, we haven't seen directed kind of graphs, but we have seen undirected graphs, and also we have seen weighted graphs. Okay, you can have directed, yeah, one example is directed graph. Actually, citation networks are actually directed graph. Okay, so these are different examples of graphs, in fact. Okay, so I'm not, I think some of you are already mathematicians here. So I'm not taking much time discussing the history of graph theory. It might be known to you already. Like graph theory, it is known as, it started from this recreational mathematical puzzle known as Königsberg bridge problem. Okay, so this was set in the old Prussian city of Königsberg, and it is believed to be the beginning of topology as well as graph theory. So the problem setting was this: there was a river flowing through this place, and there are 7 bridges across the river, right? And the problem was this: can we go through all the bridges in a single trip without doubling back? An additional requirement is that the trip should be ending in the same place that it began. Okay, so the legend was that people actually tried to do this, and that was of no use, right? And in 1735, Euler was the person who gave actually a modeling of this problem. Okay, so what Euler has done is that he put this problem into paper in which he modeled this entire system as a graph. Okay, so basically the land masses that we had here, all these land masses were considered as nodes. And whenever there are bridges connecting these nodes, some edges were shown. So here you can see that multi edges are there. Between C and A, there are 2 edges. A and B, again 2 edges. A and D, 1 edge. CD, 1 edge. BD, 1 edge. So a simple representation is what we are having now, and this symbol representation he could solve this problem. I hope you all know what the solution to the problem is. If you can give in the chat box, like if you don't know the problem, that also you can just mention, or if you know the problem and what is the solution for this problem, that also you can mention. And what kind of problem is graph theoretic problem is this? If anyone knows, you can put in chat. Yeah, yeah. It is basically Euler graphs. Okay, fine. Okay, so basically this is modeled as a graph. And in this case, actually, it is equivalent to asking if this node on 4 nodes and 7 edges has an Eulerian cycle or not. Okay. Yeah. So this was giving a negative answer. In fact, in this graph, it is a negative answer because there is no graph vertices. Sorry, there are graph vertices of odd degree, so you could not find an Eulerian cycle here. Okay, so this is basically the same problem which we have modeled as a graph, and then Euler has given a mathematical proof that such a cycle does not exist. Okay. So on a legendary part, it is that people actually tried to increase the number of links between 2 nodes to 4 and then solved it for an Eulerian path. They could find an Eulerian path. Okay, that is in 1875, they built some bridges and they could find an Eulerian path, but not the cycle. Okay. And on a funny side, if you can look into the map of Königsberg, which is Kaliningrad now, you can see that only 4 bridges exist. Okay, only 4 bridges exist. And this is no more a problem now. Okay, and you could easily traverse all these 4 bridges at once. Okay. Yeah. So on a funny part, if this was the present situation, if this was the situation earlier, we don't know when the graph theory could have been started because this problem was not an unsolvable problem. Okay. Yeah. So we'll move forward. So we were just seeing introduction of graph theory, how Euler has done um, graph theory modeling or graph modeling of a real life situation. Okay. So basically from that we could see that any data that we have in any system or any phenomenon, we could represent it as a graph. Okay, some of the examples are event graphs. So when you are working in an organization or when you are having some processes, we know like the events could be connected to each other. Okay, so the event graphs could be formed. Again, computer networks, or you can think about internet as well, where many devices are connected to each other. Or disease pathways. Okay, so the different molecules and how they are connected to each other. Food webs, as we have seen earlier, species and the which species is predating on which species. Food webs, particle networks or underground networks, social, economic, communication or citation. As we have seen earlier, citation is a directed network. Yeah, internet or even network of neurons. Okay, so in each one of this, we can clearly see that each one of this system could be modeled as a network. Right? So all this data could be represented as a graph or as a network. Yeah. Another example is knowledge graph or regulatory network or even scene graphs. Again, in scene graphs, it is like which scene is having dependency on which scene. Okay. Based on that, scene graphs could be created. Code graphs, when you people are doing some kind of coding, some code part is having a dependency on another code part. So these dependencies could be easily visualized when you have a large code structure. These dependencies could be easily visualized using a code graph. And also it could be analyzed. Like if you one part of the code structure or code snippet is having a bug, which all parts are going to get affected. This is easily visible from this kind of code graph visualization. Again, molecules or even 3D shapes. You know that when we are rendering 2D shapes, we are actually looking into grid data set. Okay, but when we come to 3D shapes, this grid data set will not always work. So again, we will be having some kind of a network here. So you can see that each of the symbol unit here is a triangle, in fact. Okay. Okay. So what we have seen is that the data that is available, any real life data that is available, we could represent each of this data as their underlying network structure, as the node and the interactions between these nodes. Okay, so symbol relationships we have seen, depth of relationships we have seen, even the direction of relationships we have seen. Now consider a situation where your data itself is very complex and the relationships are also even more complex. Then how will you capture all this information? Okay, so one answer to this question, you cannot now model a complex data and a complex relationship using a simple graph or a simple network. So there actually you need to go to some other kind of modeling, which is a multi-layer network. Okay, so yeah, I'm seeing the chat only now. So I have seen that graph theory you all know very well. Fine, thank you. Yeah. So so now we are looking into when we are having complex data as well as complex relationship. Then the modeling, the simple network modeling will not work. We need to go for a multi-layer network. We'll see what a multi-layer network is. Okay. So each of the examples shown here, these are actually simple networks. Okay, whatever is shown here, this is a social network or the citation network or the airways network. Each of these are simple networks. Now, when you have more information available about the node as well as the edge, we could go for a multi-layer network analysis. So now what is a multi-layer network multi-layer network? For example, see the airways network that we have seen here. We are just mentioning if one airport is connected to another airport or not. Right? Now, consider that you are looking into the information about different airways. For example, say Lufthansa or Air France or British Airways. Now you have this segregated information. Okay. So the data set that you're available in hand, consider that it is having one more column about what is the type of airways. Okay. So in that scenario, you are having the same set of nodes, right? In each case, you are having the same set of nodes or the same set of airports. But now you are concerned about how many Lufthansa flights is from one point to another? How many Air France flights is from one point to another? Or how many British Airways are from one point to another? Now the relationship is having one more aspect. What is the type of airways? Okay, so in order to capture this information along with our data set, we need to construct a multi-layer network in which we can see that the nodes remain the same in each of this layer, but the relationships that you see, it differs. Relationships as well as the node importance also differs in each of the layer. We can see there are a large number of Lufthansa flights, but smaller number of Air France lines. But again, you can see that these 3 points in the periphery, these 3 points, there are no connections of Lufthansa or British Airways. You are having only Air France connections. Okay, so more information could be represented using this multi-layer network analysis. See another example shown here. Earlier we were considering only the friendship network. Okay, now we are looking into different aspects of friendship, friendship alone or negative relationship or job related or just acquaintances. Each one of this relationship, when you look into, you are getting different meanings, different aspects of friendship. Okay, so when this aspect is also captured in our network representation, we are having different layers of information. Okay, this is a multi-layer network. Okay, so we could say that a multi-layer network is a generalization of complex network when you want to study different types of, multitudinous types of networks. Okay, now when we want to combine all this information in a single framework, okay, so 2 different types of representation are possible. One is node colored multigraph. We can see that the same nodes are represented in different layers, but they are colored with respect to which layer they are in. Okay, so that is node colored multigraph, or else you can have edge colored multigraph. Here we'll be coloring the edges belonging to separate layers. Right, now we'll see the general framework, how this is interpreted. See, this is an example of a multi-layer network in which you, here in this particular example, you have 4 layers. So 2 aspects are considered here. One aspect is having 2 values A and B. Another aspect is having 2 values X and Y. So 2 by 2, 4 layers are there, 4 levels of relationships we are considering. And you can see that the nodes remain the same. In layer AX, see, in layer AX, you have node 1, 2, and 3. And you can see there is a relationship between node 1 and 2, as well as there is no relationship between 3 and any other node in this particular layer. But when you come to this particular layer, AY, you can see that there is some relationship between 2, 3. Maybe this is representing a friendship and this is representing an acquaintance. Okay, so which means that 1, 2 are close friends, but 2 and 3 are not close friends, but they are mere acquaintances. So that is represented in a different layer. Now, how will we represent this as a single framework? For that purpose, we make use of a supragraph. Okay, in a supragraph, we are having all these nodes represented, all these nodes in the multi-layer network represented. But how this will be labeled, it depends on which layer it is and what is the node. For example, see, the layer, the node 1 in this layer AX is represented as 1AX. Okay, you can see it here, 1AX. That is representing this particular node. Again, 2AX is represented as this particular node is represented as 2AX. Okay, so from the labeling itself, we can know like which all nodes belong to which all layers. And whenever there are relationships within a single layer, that is intra-layer relationships, we are showing it here by solid lines, and inter-layer relationships are shown by this dotted lines. Okay, we will see an example as well. Okay, so this particular example we will see. This particular example we will see. Okay, so here again we are considering a social system, okay, a social network. So here we are considering, in fact, 4 people. We can see here that MAP, MB, YYA, and AC. These are 4 scientists, in fact. Okay, these are 4 network scientists. And the interactions between these 4 persons in 3 different events are being modeled. Okay, so consider that here we have 3 events. Okay, ECCS 13, workshop in Oxford, NetSite 13. These are 3 events, and the type of interaction between them, type of interaction is another aspect, type of interaction. Okay, so first interaction is they have talked to each other. Next interaction is they went to a session or a talk by the other. Okay, different types of interactions and in different events. Okay, so 2 aspects are there. 2 aspects are there. And one aspect is having 3 values, another aspect is having 2 values. So 3 by 2, 6 layers are 6 layers of interactions we are dealing with. Yeah, 6 layer of interactions we are dealing with. And see, for example, see this is first layer, which is in ECCS 13, who all have talked to each other. Okay, so you can see that MAP talked to YYA in this ECCS event, and YYA talked to MB. So they have mutually talked to each other. Okay, so this is a symmetric relationship, we can say. Okay, they have talked to each other in this event. And you can see that this particular person, AC, he was not available in this particular event, whereas he has attended the other 2 events. And also you can see that MB, this particular person, has not attended these 2 events, NetSci and workshop. He has attended only 1 event. Okay, so by here actually what we are visualizing here is that interactions between 4 different people, 4 different network scientists in 3 different events and the type of interaction. And for this 4 different people, all this information could be represented as a multi-layer network. Okay, so this is the supragraph representation of this multi-layer network, in which we are having a single graph in which we are modeling all this kind of interactions. Okay, so here when to talk by the other or talk to each other, these 2 interactions are separated by different visualizations of the edge. Detection of communities is not similar to multi-layer network. Detection of community, we can say, in a single network itself, you are trying to understand which people are having larger number of connections with each other, larger number of relationships with each other. So community detection is an important aspect of network analysis. It comes in simple networks as well as multi-layer networks. In both the cases, you can detect communities. Is your question answered? Okay. Yeah. So now we are seeing so sorry. Yeah. So now you are seeing again how this you have a supragraph representation. So how will we represent it as a matrix so that we could use it for our computational purposes. Okay. So we know that a graph could be represented as adjacency matrix, right? You all already know how a single layer network, or in fact this is a graph which we could represent as an adjacency matrix, right? Or an adjacency list, some kind of representation we could use for computational purposes. When we come to multiplex networks or multi-layer networks, we could make use of another matrix, which is a supra-adjacency matrix. Okay, so here in order to understand this supra-adjacency matrix, some colorings are given so that you can easily see this. You can see that layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, all the nodes are represented in the rows and columns. And whenever there are connections between layer nodes in layer 1 to each other, no, that is shown in this particular grid. You can see that if there are connections, they are shown by a ones, otherwise zeros. Okay, and this red color, these are intra-layer edges or intra-layer links in the red, this particular red layer, green and yellow and so on. And whenever there are inter-layer connections, they are shown here in this part. This gray part are actually intra-layer connections. Okay, so that is for an easy understanding, it is shown. This coloring is shown. Okay, so that you can easily capture like which is represented as which in this super-adjacency matrix. Okay, so we will see some more examples where these multi-layer networks are important or which are being currently used in research. Okay, so one important aspect is a brain network analysis, in human brain network analysis. So when we know that how this brain data or brain information we will be capturing, we will be make use of some imaging techniques, right? So when you are looking into fMRI techniques, in fMRI techniques, actually you are looking into functional connectivity between different regions of the brain. Okay, so functional connectivity between different regions are being captured. So it is shown here, a little bit it is shown here from the brain. Different regions are marked and the functional connectivity between these regions are captured. And based on some frequency band, we are choosing the data. Okay, now consider. Yeah, can you mute for a while, Ligimod? Okay. Okay, when we need to consider, usually what we do is that in fMRI, when we want to consider, we will be considering a single frequency or a range of frequency, and from that frequency, whatever correlations are available, those correlations are captured and converted into the functional relationship or functional dependency between regions. But when we want to consider different frequency bands, okay, multiple frequency bands, which means that we are going to capture more information about this connectivity between different brain regions, there we could make use of a multi-layer network. Okay, so that is essentially shown here. You can see here, these are the functional connections, and in different frequency bands, how this see, the same set of nodes are the regions are the same, but in different frequencies, the relationship or the correlation between different regions differs. Okay, yeah, in this example, it is more clear. This you can see. Okay, different colors are different layers, different frequency bands, and for the same set of nodes, you have different kind of interactions or relationships between the nodes in each of this layer. Okay, so here this is a particular example where multi-layer networks allow uh, functional information from different frequency bands, and that could be studied simultaneously. Okay, so this is one particular application of multi-layer network. Another example, analysis of an epidemic spreading. Consider that you are trying to study different diseases at the same time. Okay, how one disease is inhibiting the spread of another disease, or how one disease is accelerating the spread of another disease. Okay, when you want to study the dependencies between the diseases, again, you can go for a multi-layer kind of analysis. For example, see, two or more diseases could interact cooperatively or competitively. Cooperatively or competitively. Cooperatively means one enhances, the other disease also enhances. Okay, for example, you can see that when COVID enhances, respiratory related other diseases were also in a high. Asthma, those kind of diseases were also in a high. That kind of a cooperative diseases. And competitively, which means that enhancement of one disease is affecting the acceleration of spreading of another disease. So when you want to study this kind of relationships between different diseases, again, you can make use of a multi-layer network. Okay, another one more example is an urban transportation system. Okay, so now consider this system in which this is a Madrid transportation system in which different kind of transportations are considered. So it includes rail transportation, road transportation, or tram transportation. Each one of this transportation is considered, or connectivity is considered between different places. And when you want to study all these public transportation systems together, again, you can make use of a multi-layer network. Okay, so these are some of the studies in which multi-layer networks are used to get more meaningful insights about the systems. Okay, so up to now, we have seen like many real life systems, or almost all the real life systems or phenomenon, they are having some rich relationship structure, which we could model as a graph. Okay, so you can see that each of this, now when we think about any system, you can see that each of the system could be modeled as a graph or a network, depending on which kind of relation we are looking into. But now the question is that you have a rich relational structure. How will you take advantage of this relational structure so that you can have better analysis or better predictions about the system? Okay, so here now we have seen how this data could be captured and how this data could be modeled as a network. Now, what more we could do on this data, right? What kind of computations or what kind of analysis we could do on this data, so that this is a large data set. Okay, on this large network data stage, what kind of procedures you can do so that you can have better analysis and predictions. Okay, so we will quickly go through the solution or the answer to this question as well. Okay, so some of the network analysis procedures is to make use of different graph algorithms or graph mining or graph machine learning. Okay, so we'll go through each one of this quickly, right? So graph algorithms, basically what we do here is that we will study this network structure and we'll try to detect the important features of the data by making use of computational algorithms. Some of the common use cases, so these use cases you may be already knowing: a path, right? You have different paths between different places. Now if you want to find which is the shortest path, okay, so for that purpose, you could make use of graph algorithms, shortest path algorithms. There are greedy algorithms like Dijkstra's algorithm, which you could make use of and understand what is the shortest path in a given network of locations. Okay. Another use case, understanding the connectivity between different places. For example, the airways connectivity. Again, you can make use of graph algorithms like, sorry, minimum spanning tree algorithms, MST algorithms like Prim's or Kruskal's, and understand how what is the connectivity between different regions. Yeah, another use case is understanding the importance of a particular node in a network. Okay, you could make use of centrality concepts, network centrality concepts, to understand uh, what is the importance of each node in the network. Okay, you could make use of different centralities like degree centrality or betweenus centrality, closeness, page rank, or eigenvector centralities. Each of these centrality which give you more information on what is the influence of that particular node in the network. Right. Another common use case is finding a cycle detection algorithms. Okay, for example, yeah, cycle detection algorithms. For example, in this particular, so this is a particle network in which we need to find what are the cycles available or what are the feedback systems available in this particular system. Okay, so for that purpose, we could make use of a cycle detection algorithm. Okay, so these are different use cases, common use cases, where we will be studying the network structure and detecting the important features using different graph algorithms. Okay, so that is one way of interpreting the large data set that we are having. But always we know that always this graph algorithms will not work, because when we are having a large data set in hand, the shortest path algorithms and all we are going to give you more and more computationally complex. Okay, so another aspect is graph mining, like when you are having a graph in hand, what are the patterns available in this graph which you could get from this graph information? Okay, so some of the example use cases are frequent subgraph mining or link mining or community mining. Okay, frequent subgraph mining, which means that you are going to see, you have a set of graphs in your hand, maybe the same system you are analyzing in different time periods. Okay, you want to see which subgraph is frequently occurring in each of this time period. Okay, so that kind of a problem, we usually call it as a frequent subgraph mining. So this is a mining problem, data mining problem, frequent subgraph mining. Right, that is one aspect where we are making use of or we are interpreting more information from the graph. Another example is link mining. For example, you have the information about the data set or about the entities at a particular time, and another point of time, what is the connections between two different people. For example, in time t, you don't have any relationship. You don't have any relationship between these two people. And is it remaining the same in the next time period, t dash? Okay, is there any relationship between these two persons coming up? New relationship, is it coming up? So some kind of link prediction we could, link prediction algorithm we could make use of here. Link mining. Yeah, another example is community mining, as we have someone has already asked. Community detection, it is the same. Okay, so given a graph, how you can predict what are the communities available in the graph, what are the ground truth communities, and what are the communities that you can detect from the graph. Again, you can make use of some algorithm or some other computational procedure. Yeah. Another way to, yeah, so that is about graph mining, an overview of graph mining. Another way to understand more information from very large graph or network data set is to make use of machine learning. So machine learning, basically in machine learning, we are using grid type data or a matrix data. But when you come to graph machine learning, this grid type data is not going to work. Okay, for an image, you can know that pixel to pixel grid type information will work. But when you come to graph, it is no more a grid. You have complex kind of relationships between people, between different nodes. So here we could make use of graph machine learning. Right. So two types of graph machine learning, supervised machine learning or unsupervised machine learning, we could make use of. So some examples of use cases in which supervised machine learning, graph machine learning are used are node property prediction. You are going to predict the properties of nodes which are not already available in the system. Okay, for example, see here what we shown here is like you are trying to assess if a given node is a fraud or not. Maybe in financial transaction, you are trying to check if the given if one person or one kind of transaction is a fraud transaction or not. Okay, so that is a use case of node property prediction. Now, link prediction, we have already seen. If we are trying to see or predict that a link or a likely relationship is going to come up between two nodes or not. Or graph property relationship, predict some continuous property of the entire graph or the subgraph itself. Okay, these are some use cases of supervised machine learning. And we'll see some examples or your use cases of unsupervised machine learning as well. Yeah, representation learning, or again, clustering or community detection, similarity understanding, or centrality and pathfinding. These are some use cases in which unsupervised machine learning is being used. Okay, so I think by this I have given you an overview on like how, yeah, graph machine learning textbook. Yeah, I'll give in chat box. Sure. Yeah, I'll give at the end of the session. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So as of now, we have seen like almost all the systems that you are seeing around could be represented as a data set, network data set. And we have seen like which all techniques you could apply for understanding further information from this large networks. Okay, now I'll give you some insights into the different resources available. So I am giving here information about network resources that are network science resources that are available. Furthermore, someone has asked for graph machine learning book. Some books I'll suggest. Uh, yeah. So basically, these are some of the books about complex networks or graph theories. Which some of these books are actually easy reading books. Like linked and all, you can see that. Sorry about that. There was a glitch from my end, network issue from my end. Yeah, hope it is clear now. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so regarding, yeah, I was talking about the books. So you can, so some of these books like Network Science by Barabasi, this is online book is available. Okay, Social Network Analysis also online book is available. E-book itself is available. Another set of books. So some of these books are again easy reading books like the Formula and 6 Degrees are easy reading books. Other ones are textbooks, which you can look into. And these are some of the research groups, network science research groups in India and international groups. Okay, you can have a look into each one of these groups in IIIT Delhi, IIT Indore, as well as IIT Indore also one group is there, IIT Kharagpur and all. Many groups are there currently doing very good research in network science. Yeah. Now, an important aspect here is these are some of the public data repositories where you can easily find network data set. Okay, when you want to work on network data set, many of the network data sets are network data set repositories that are shown here. They are having large number of network data sets. Okay, which you can easily download as an adjacency metric or an edge list or something, and you can readily start your work. Okay, almost all these network repositories are having many large number of data set, and it is being updated every now and then. Okay, and then yeah, another thing like in IIIT Kottayam, we have a network science research group. So currently we are working on representation learning. Sorry, this robustness of complex networks, online social networks, functional brain networks, and as well as bibliographic networks. Uh, Thanks for your patient listening. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask. Graph machine learning books I haven't included, but some resources now I'll give in the chat box that you can have a look into. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can post here.
Dear participant, you have any question, please ask your question to ma'am. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm not able to hear. One second. Yeah.
I'm Murugan, Dr. Murugan.
Sir, tell me, sir.
Dear participant, you have any doubt, you just ask the question to ma'am. Sir, any question? Please raise your hand. Okay, ma'am, we conclude the section. I think now question in chat box also. Okay, first of all, my sincere thanks and greetings to all the participants. First and foremost, I would like to thank our director, Professor Rajiv Taraskar, and our registrar, Dr. M. Radhakrishnan, and our professor in charge, Mohanan sir, and our head of the department, Dr. Danya ma'am, constant support for all our event and activities. So my special thanks to our technical mathematician, Dr. Divya Sindhu Lekha, accept our invitation and this wonderful session, today's session. Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of the entire IIIT team, we say our sincere thanks to you, ma'am. Then our thanks to our technical support team, Siju sir and his team, and my co-coordinator, Dr. Asha Sabasti. And finally, thanks to all the participants. Thank you once again. Thank you, Ananda. Have a nice day.
You,
Thank
sir.
you. Session is closed.